Welcome to our Health, Safety and Environmental Induction course for contractors. As you can see, the Mall is a massive retail and leisure venue, and many people, including you, are vital to its safe and trouble-free operation. So we need to make sure that when you're working here, you don't endanger yourself or any of our staff or customers. That's why you need to understand and follow our site rules. Of course, your company will already have its own health and safety standards, but because of our absolute commitment to safety, we need to err on the side of caution, which is why you must keep to our rules. As we take you through this induction course, it's a good idea for you to make notes of the key points, because at the end of this presentation, you'll be tested on your understanding, and you'll have to pass that test before you can start to work at the Mall. Ready? Let's begin. Your company will already have received a permission to work certificate from us, and in turn, they'll have given us their risk assessments and method statements, RAMs, proof of insurance, and their assurance that you're competent to carry out the tasks you're here for. Please make sure that you've read, understood, and signed your RAMs. You'll need to before you can start work here. Okay. First step. Signing in. Once you've completed this induction successfully, every day you'll need to go to our control room and complete the paperwork that lets you work here on that day. If you're part of a large team, someone, usually your supervisor or foreman, will be nominated to sign you all in. You'll receive a badge. Please ensure that you wear it at all times while on site. And whenever you leave the site, first go back to the control room, sign out, and leave your pass until your next return. That way, if there's ever a fire or other major incident, we'll know who's on site. There's one small exception. If you're a retail contractor instead of a badge, you'll be given a temporary access card. Next, task assessments. Whether you're a retailer contractor or a landlord contractor, you must complete a task assessment form before carrying out any work. This tells us whether you're planning any high-risk or hot works, works to live safety systems, or work in the landlord's area. If a retailer contractor is planning to work in the landlord's area, they must complete a landlord's task assessment as well. High-risk activities will be dealt with later in this induction, as they require special permits to work. Site hazards. In this part of your induction, we look at the hazards that you may encounter in different parts of the Mall, on the roof, in service corridors, loading bays and car parks. On the roof, you need to be aware of uneven footpaths, so use the pink-colored paths whenever possible, and wear suitable protective footwear. Always face ladders and stepladders when using them. Don't use gantries without a permit. And remember that no more than 2 men with hand tools can use the gantries at any one time. Roof fence. Always clip your harness to the gantry before leaving the cradle. And to always work in pairs. Gas and diesel pipes are identified by color. Yellow for gas and brown for diesel. If you smell gas or see a diesel leak at any time, report it immediately to the control room. Never work on electrical installations without a permit, and always report faults to the control room immediately. You mustn't enter a boiler room, lift meter room, or access air conditioning plant without a permit, and be aware that automatic machinery may start without warning. In service corridors, even lifts can be a hazard, especially the pinch points of the doors. Don't enter meter or switch rooms, and only work on electrical installations after you've been issued with a permit. Never open service risers without permission unless you're a centre maintenance employee. There's always the risk of a fall if the doors are opened. And never leave equipment or waste in service risers. When using stairs, keep to the left and hold the handrail. But if you're moving goods or materials, use a goods lift, not the stairs. Loading bays hold potential dangers too. Always wear high visibility clothes so that vehicle drivers can see you, and if there's a footpath, stick to it. There's a 5-mile speed limit, and we enforce it. Any breach will result in a warning card. More on that later. Be careful around forklift trucks. The wall-mounted mirrors are there to improve visibility for forklift drivers and pedestrians alike. And don't jump down into our climb-out of loading docks. Always use the stairs. In car parks and external roads, watch out for the following. If customers, in cars or on foot, are in a hurry to get into the centre, they may not notice that maintenance work is going on. So always put barriers around your work area and use signage to warn visitors of your presence. It's not enough to use barrier tape or cones. Always use pedestrian barriers or Chapter 8 highway barriers linked together. Be careful of changes in levels and uneven paving, and never leave tools, substances or equipment unattended or insecure. Okay, now let's talk about permits to work. These permits are additional controls for high-risk activity. They're needed when you're abseiling, working in confined spaces or at heights, using cradles and gantries, and dealing with electrics, excavations, hot work or pressure systems. Works that need a permit must be planned in advance. Your company will usually have arranged this before you arrive on site. They'll also have confirmed that you're competent to do the work, that your equipment has been properly inspected, and that your procedures will be effective. If the time period of the permit expires or the scope of the work changes, a new permit will have to be issued. So let the centre management know of any accident, unusual or unforeseen incident, or if you need to use different equipment or change your procedures. If you have to deal with an emergency and haven't obtained a permit in advance, contact the centre management as quickly as possible. By the way, the centre's management will keep a constant watch on high-risk activities that require permits through inspection and CCTV. That's a rundown of the hazards you may encounter and what you must do to avoid them. We can't emphasize enough how important it is that you follow our safety rules, because we have a warning card system for those who don't. Just as in football, there's a yellow card and a red card. Yellow for a minor breach, and red for 2 minor breaches or 1 major breach of our safety or environmental rules. If we give you a yellow card, we'll tell you why, and what you need to do to put it right. But a red card means you'll have to leave the site. We'll then inform your employer. You may be able to return to the site after you've successfully resat this induction, and if your employer confirms that you've been adequately retrained. There are a few more things you need to know before you begin work here. One is our fire drill. Fire is the biggest threat to our business. That's why we actively manage the risk, and we'll expect you to as well. If you discover a fire, don't try to fight it with extinguishers or hoses unless you're trained to do so. Raise the alarm by breaking one of these glass call points. They're located near high-risk work areas, stair landings, and exits from the building. Once you've raised the alarm, leave the building through the nearest exit. If you hear this, make your work area safe and leave by the nearest exit. Then go to the fire evacuation point given to you when you signed in and stay there until a centre manager gives the all clear. The evacuation points are situated at help points in the car parks. You must also never leave equipment or materials in our service corridors. Corridors must be kept clear. When moving material and waste from your work area to skips or loading bays, you must never overload the barrow you are using, and never allow long lengths of timber or steel to protrude from the barrows or bins. Always cut them down. First aid. In the first instance, this is your own employer's responsibility. So if you are unwell or suffer an injury at the mal, your first point of call is to your first aider. Maybe you're the first aider, and if you are, or if you're on your own or need an ambulance, telephone our control room. We'll get the ambulance for you. But if for any reason you can't get through to the control room, dial 999 for an ambulance. We've got some general rules too, designed to make our customers' experience a pleasant one. Smoking is only permitted at the designated smoke points outside each main entrance. Smoke anywhere else, and you'll be excluded from the site. Wear your corporate clothing at all times, even in hot weather, so no stripping to the waist. You can use the toilets and restaurants, but only if you're clean and have removed your high-visibility clothing. And always be polite to centre employees and customers. You can bring vehicles into the loading bays to unload materials and tools. After that, they must be parked in the car parks and furthest away from the building, so that customers can use the nearest spaces. And last but not least, the environment. We care about the effect that our business can have on the environment, and always seek to minimize that impact. That's why we carefully manage drainage, our energy and water use, and waste disposal. And we expect the same from you. That means you must report any leaks from gas, water or refrigeration pipes. Remove all your waste from the site. Combine journeys to the site to save fuel and reduce traffic. Keep all substances contained. And manage shop fitting waste to reduce landfill. And you mustn't tip any substances into drains without the approval of centre management. Leave electrical equipment and lighting switched on if you leave the work area. Put any of your waste or paint into centre skips or bins. And leave any waste in corridors or service yards. That's it. Now it's time for you to show that you've understood our site rules. If you pass our test, you'll receive a certificate to work here. Otherwise, you'll need to resit it. Good luck.